This is the 2022 Honda Odyssey. It's the EXL trim level that we're going to take a look at today, and obviously there are multiple trim levels available depending on what your needs are. And for 2022, if you're asking what's new, no, that wasn't really intentional. The only thing that is different is the fact that Honda has removed the option to have the onboard vacuum cleaner, also known as the Honda Vac. Other than that, the Odyssey remains the same between the 21 and 22 model years, but you will of course continue to find LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, LED fog lights, and LED taillights. I'm so glad I got that in one scene because I don't have to say all of that a second time. And I always have to mention this in every single one of my videos. I've just learned over time, if I don't, somebody's going to ask the question, are there turn signal indicators built into the side view mirror? Yes, there are. And these are heated power side view mirrors. Notice I didn't say power folding. Now they do fold manually, but they don't fold with the push of the button on your remote. Let's talk a little bit about the remote for those who may be interested in knowing. You have remote start, of course, lock and unlock, and you can open and close both side doors and the rear door with the functionality of your remote. Earlier, I mentioned the fact that there are multiple trim levels of the Honda Odyssey, and there are some things that you will find that will not be different from one trim level to the next. That includes the engine and transmission combination that you'll find on the Odyssey. They are all going to come standard with this 3.5 liter V6. It puts out 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Gas mileage comes in at 19 miles per gallon city estimated, 28 out on the highway, 22 combined. And according to what Honda says, per every 100 miles you drive with your Honda Odyssey, you should use up 4.5 gallons of gas. And if you've ever wondered how to safely see what the underside of an Odyssey looks like, well, now you know based on what you're seeing on your screen. Notice I said safely because there are other ways to see what the underside of an Odyssey looks like, but we're not going to go there today. And like I said earlier, you can use the remote to open and or close these sliding side doors. And on the side of the seat here, you'll find multiple levers that you can pull and use to do multiple things, including moving the seat forward, moving the seat back forward, and the seat itself forward to make it easier to get into the rear seats. And of course, you can also tilt the entire seat forward. And we'll talk a little bit more about why you might want to do that when we get to talking about cargo space and the fact that this minivan is really one of the best multitasking minivans on the market today. If you want to tow something with your Honda Odyssey, as long as it doesn't weigh 3,501 pounds, you're good. And let's talk a little bit about some of the features and functionality back here. You can, of course, use the remote again to open this rear door, but there is one interesting little trick that I like to talk about here. If you notice, this doesn't open very far. What's up with that? Well, if you want to change the position of the rear door on your Odyssey, it's very simple. There's nothing in the interior you have to fool with. You don't have to push any buttons or anything. Well, that's not really true. There is a button you have to push, but it's all done right here. So if we want to have it open all the way, just like this, all you have to do is push it into place, or maybe if you want to pull it down just a little bit, whatever you want to do, that's what you're going to do. And then when it's in your desired position, the button right here on the tailgate itself, hold that down until it beeps like that. So what I'm going to do now is close that back up, and just be patient with me. In fact, I'll just speed the scene up maybe a little bit. And now we'll open the door back up. And as you're gonna see, it's gonna open all the way this time. Pretty nifty little trick, isn't it? And of course you have the stowing magic rear seats back here. You have a little diagram on the back of the seats to show you how to do that if you can't quite figure it out, but it's really pretty simple to stow the seats and to put them back up. Cargo numbers come in at 32.8 cubic feet with all of the seats in and in their upright position. But You can stow the stowing magic rear seats and do something with the Odyssey that you can't do with the 2021 version of the Toyota Sienna, and that is completely remove the middle row seats, taking your available cargo space all the way up to 144.9 cubic feet. And yes, this is a great multitasking minivan because you can haul the family around, you can pick up just about anything you want, and you can use this as a utility van or whatever the case may be to make the most use of all of this cargo space. And by the way, besides maybe needing someone to help you out to lift these outer row seats on the outside of the middle row that are kind of heavy, you also will want to move the driver and passenger seats as far forward as you can. Just makes it a little bit easier. Now, if I just had someone to help me put these back in. And in case you were wondering, yeah, you got power side windows here for the side doors and your middle row seat passengers, but you also have, if your middle row seat passengers get a little bit on the warm side, shades for each window. Those are manual and not automatic, by the way. Let's talk a little bit about the functionality that you will find here in the rear seat, in the middle row seat and rear seat area. You have tri-zone climate control, dual in the front, single here in the rear, that is all controlled via a control panel over the passenger side sliding side door. Another one of those things I'm really glad I don't have to say multiple times. And the good news for your rear seat passengers is that there is a reasonable amount of leg room. It is pretty comfortable back there. And you can move these seats back and forth quite a bit, as you can see. So a lot of potentials for leg space in that area. And you and your passengers will never grow thirsty in this Odyssey, as there are 15 different cup holders found throughout the interior. And while I realize that the 2 cup holders on the front doors within those door bins are square, well, those still count as cup holders. And of course, as you can see, the bottle test kind of shows you that, well, a conventional water bottle that you might purchase at your favorite local grocery store or convenience store, well, fits quite well. And in the rear seat area, of course, there are air conditioning vents, more air conditioning vents here in the middle row seat area, connectivity on the rear of the console, and a couple of more of those cup holders I was talking about, and you do have a conventional size sunroof. Are we going to see a sunroof, or I should say a panoramic sunroof, in 2023 on the Honda Odyssey? If you would like to see that, tell me down in the comments. And when it comes to the interior, let's take a quick look here at this Odyssey EXL. Of course, one of my favorite features here is you've got the 2 settings here for the seat memory for the driver. You do have power driver and passenger seats. Quick look at the steering wheel with the steering wheel mounted controls and push button start. I'm gonna start the engine up here, fire up that 3.5 liter V6. It's actually not hurting for power, it's not too bad. And of course, here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, that thing called the blinker lever, you're going to push it into the up position if you're turning right or changing lanes to the right. See that arrow blinking to the right? And then you push it into the down position for the same thing when you're going to the left, turning left, or changing lanes to the left. Just imagine the novelty of letting people around you know what you're doing. A pretty simple interior to figure out here, but has good technology as well. By the way, if you made it this far, you might as well have a little humor in the video. And over here on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, something I can't really say anything sarcastic about because people actually use their windshield wipers, but that's what this controls, the features and functionality for windshield wipers. And you also have the features and functionality here for your headlights as well, and the fog lights, all that good stuff. And the infotainment screen, quite a few great features here. You got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you have multiple driving modes as well. Of course, you've got Drive and Sport. If you're feeling sporty when you're driving your Honda Odyssey, you do have shifter paddles, by the way, on the steering wheel there, so you can manually row your way through the transmission if you want to. But also, to save the life of your starter, you can turn the auto stop start feature off. And whether that starter is beefed up or not, that's still a good idea. Snow mode and econ mode as well. By the way, this is a front wheel drive minivan. I didn't mention that earlier. And one thing we found out with the 2021 version of the Honda ridgeline is the fact that people like to have this knob right here because it came back in 2021 after not being there for a little while. You can use that to control the functionality, turning your radio on and off, and the volume. People really like that. And of course, give you a quick look here at the rear view camera, and you do have multiple options here as far as angles go. If you're backing up to something and you want to see how close you are, well, there you go with a third view, or second view, I should say. And of course, the controls up here for the sunroof, and you also have the conversation mirror right here. That way, when parents are angry at the kids, they can give them the angry eyes in the conversation mirror. Make sure you do that when you're not driving, by the way. So what is the driving experience like here in the Odyssey? Well, one thing's for sure, and I know a lot of people might say 280 horsepower isn't enough, but I bet you're gonna find those people are in a fairly young age range because they don't know about the fact when full-size vans, some of them had less than 200 horsepower, so 280 horsepower in this Odyssey minivan is really pretty impressive. And it would be nice to have some, maybe what I would call real life scenarios of maybe having a full load of passengers or a good bit of cargo to see how the Odyssey handles going down the road in different driving conditions like that. But we just have to deal with what we have available. But I can definitely say, with the multiple driving modes available, you can pretty much tackle anything that this Odyssey is equipped to do. In fact, I'm just gonna do this even though it's not gonna probably mean much to you, but I can tell you all about it. I'm gonna drive in sport mode. I'm gonna change it. You can do that on the fly, so we're gonna change over. You can hear the RPM of the engine go up because the transmission dropped gears, and then the engine is actually running a little bit more aggressively as far as the RPMs go, shifting a little bit differently. And of course, you got the snow mode and econ mode. So depending on your particular desires, well, you've got multiple things to choose from. And plenty of space here. The interior is nice and comfortable. The seats themselves are comfortable. Steering wheel is comfortable. A lot of good features that you can have on multiple trim levels depending on what you want to spend or what your budget is. And it's pretty easy to see out of as well. That's always a benefit in any vehicle, to be able to have good solid visibility with all the different safety features that are available. It just makes it that much easier. But overall, I have to give the Odyssey high marks because the driving experience is good. Good modern technology that's easy to learn if you've never had a vehicle like this before. Maybe you're one of those people who's never had an infotainment screen or a backup camera or these safety features and all that kind of stuff. And you're wondering, how hard is it to learn these things? Well, where the Odyssey is concerned, definitely not hard at all. And before my voice gets hoarse from talking too much, I think I'll just let you talk, or maybe I should just say let you type. Tell me down in the comments, if you plan to buy a Honda Odyssey, what trim level and what color do you plan to buy? Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this Odyssey EXL for the day. And of course to all of you, a special thank you for taking the time to watch and giving me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that's on the screen right over here, and I'll see you there.